Hello, welcome back to my channel, Hasty Books. I'm Camilla, and today I'm finally giving you my predictions for the shortlist of the Women's Prize for Fiction for this year. So I read 13 books out of the long listed 16. I really hoped that I could finish the other two that I have right now, but I did not. And realistically, that's as far as I'm gonna get to then film this, publish it, and then before, the shortlist announcement, which is in a few days. I decided to create two lists for this video. One is my preference, what I would shortlist, and two is what I think might get shortlisted. What is giving me vibes of shortlisted books and also of winning books. I wanted to start by saying that there are a couple of books that I hope do not get shortlisted. First is Children of Paradise by Camilla Grudova. Hated the experience of reading it. I hope it doesn't get shortlisted. Second is, to no one's surprise, Pod by Laline Paull. Again, hated every minute of it. I don't think these are bad writers though, and I want to kind of make that clear. It's just that a lot of these storylines were just really not great, didn't have a lot of growth with characters, and sometimes just were going nowhere. And I don't know, I just didn't appreciate that, and I just don't think that that should be on the prize, much less, shortlisted and then a winner. The third book that I wish, for personal reason, that does not get shortlisted is Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. That's because I cannot find it. But if it gets shortlisted, I will try to find it and read it ahead of the winning announcement. As much as there were some books that I definitely did not like, hated, there are books that I absolutely loved, and they are, in these first 4 months of the year, part of my favorite books that I've read so far this year. So these are, actually, let's start, because this is my prediction list, the 6 that I would shortlist. And, it starts with the 2 that I love the most. First is Wandering Souls by Cecile. This is a very short, but, packs a punch novel about some refugees from Vietnam, children who ends up escaping, obviously from Vietnam, and end up in Margaret Thatcher's England. It's really about their journey growing up and going through all of these kind of changes and progress in life. Is that you keep going with these characters, and even though it's really short, it goes through decades basically. And I love that, and that's when it really gripped me, when you start seeing them grow up and you see further in their life and the impact that all of this has had on them. And I just love that she kind of rounded up that novel that way, and to me that just made it even better than it was at the beginning. In number 2 we have Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. I thought that book was incredible. I think it's mentioned as a bit of this epic intergenerational novel. It is quite short, so I don't know that I would call it an epic, but it packs a punch yet again for such a short book, and it does go through generations of women living in Memphis, and basically their life, the men in their life, what they've gone through, and what they're doing to become the woman they want to become. That was a mouthful. I should have written that out. But yeah, I thought it was really, really beautiful. We follow, basically there's a grandmother, there's 2 sisters, and then we follow again their children. So it was really, really beautiful to see this ode to Memphis, the city, but also to Black women and their resilience. But these women, their strength and their art and their minds, and just everything about, their characters. In number 3, I've picked I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. That was actually a bit of a mix where I wasn't sure. I quite enjoyed Cursed Bread, even though I wasn't sure where I was going, what I was trying to say. And I thought the themes were really similar to I'm a Fan, except obviously it's historical fiction, and this is very, very modern. But there are some things in I'm a Fan that felt very kind of, obviously very timely, and I could really relate. And that's why I put it on this list. It's basically a novel that is about a woman who's obsessed with another woman, on social media, and there's a lot of the comparison, and she's kind of trying to live vicariously through her, but she's also doing action, like she's cheating on her boyfriend, like actively. She's not a respectable slash relatable character to me, because I just thought she was really a big mess, like actually like abusive, and there's a lot of issues that I have because none of the characters are relatable, or kind of, you don't want to root for anyone in this really. But there's something so relatable about the world, because it really shines a light on, you know, the jealousy and envy that goes through social media, and the what our lives appear to be. And I thought that that was really interesting concept. And actually I would really look forward to reading something else by Sheena Patel, because I think like it could go into something even bigger and even more observational. So yeah, I thought it was quite good. In number 4, I decided to pick Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. And I know lots of people have found this really boring, but I thought it was such an incredible insight into the Troubles, and just living daily life during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And I think Louise Kennedy did a really, really brilliant job doing that, and kind of making us root for a character that does some really stupid things, but it's her universe and the people she's interacting with, and her, I guess, national pride, but also all of the horror that is happening around her. And yeah, I just thought it was actually a beautiful window. I thought it was really well written. I kind of did go through it quite quickly once I started, and it's a really important slice of history in the UK, and I feel the Women's Prize is a UK prize, so it kind of makes sense to have one of these books be based on kind of British history. So yeah, so I thought that's why I've added it here. In number 5, even though I have not finished it, I decided to put The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell on this list. I've started a couple days ago. I'm actually really enjoying it. There's some things that I'm just like, oh gosh, what is happening now? But I think Maggie O'Farrell is doing a great job, like pulling you in, even from the first chapter, which technically opens at the end, because the woman thinks she's about to be murdered by her husband, and that's kind of what this whole book is supposed to be about. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the way that that's kind of brought in already. So I think one of the big books is going to get shortlisted, and I hope is this one. In number 6, it was really surprising to me, but I decided to put Homesick by Jennifer Croft on my list. I have a lot of gripe with the fact that this book was longlisted to begin with. It doesn't sound like it should have been eligible, but you know, let's ignore that for now. What I did think about it though is that first, I didn't really enjoy the reading experience. Actually, it gave me so much anxiety, and I ended up having to read it in the afternoons, because when I read it at night, it just flooded me with such anxiety. I was struggling to read and sleep. But what I thought was really beautiful about it is the coming of age storyline of this sister who loves her sister way too much, frankly, and is way too involved, and has parents who clearly are a mess. Everyone's a mess in this story, really. But what I thought was beautiful was basically her trying to deal with obviously the sickness of her sister, while not really being able to understanding herself, you know, like it's the whole growing up aspect of it that I thought was really well done and really relatable. It sometimes just really felt like you're reading the diary of a young girl. So I think Jennifer Croft did a really, really good job. I do feel like the last half, I think it's the home half or whatever, I think that was totally disconnected, and I had a lot of issues with that. But I think overall, I think the themes of it were really important, and that's why I put it on this list. And also because I've discussed before, I found a lot of the books on this long list a bit meh, so it was actually really difficult for me to fill the 6 spots. Basically, like, I had Wandering Souls in Memphis at the top of my list, and everything else has just been a little bit like, don't really care about it if it gets shortlisted or not. So here we are. I've managed to make it. But what do I think the list is going to look like? Obviously, it could look like anything. As you may know, I failed miserably to predict the long list. And to be fair of that, there is like a very big number of books that could have been eligible. So really, you're just picking at random. But out of the 16, what are the 6 that I think are going to get shortlisted by the members of the jury? So I think the first book that is going to be shortlisted is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This is really giving me vibes of the prize. And it's also really giving me vibe of the book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, which won last year. And I say that because I think it's a long book, way too long. And it's saying some really important things, but really diluted in a lot of other random stuff that I really don't give a shit about. And it's just ramblings. And sometimes there's like a pearl of genius in the middle of it. That's the vibe that Demon Copperhead gave me, and that's the vibe the Book of Form and Emptiness gave me. So I feel like potentially that's even a winning book, but I guess we'll see. In number 2, I think The Marriage Portrait by Maggie will also be shortlisted. Not only because she's a previous winner, but I think, again, a big book that is just kind of epic. I've only heard good things about it, so I have this feeling that it will be, but you know, it could go anyway. Next, I picked I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, just like I did on my list. I think it has a very similar theme, like I said, to Cursed Bread. So I was like, is it going to be Cursed Bread? Is it going to be I'm a Fan? I think it's going to be I'm a Fan. But again, we shall see. In number 4, I decided to put here Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. Obviously, Greek Retelling has been a previous winner, so I feel like they may just put this one on the list. It's just kind of similar themes and vibes. In number 5, I also put Homesick by Jennifer Croft here. And this is solely because it was weird the fact that this was eligible. I feel like they really wanted it on their long list. And I feel like they probably really want it on the short list. So it has nothing to do with what it's actually saying. It's just more like the vibe of it. Like last year in the International Booker Prize, they put like a random second or third book in the series. And I was like, they really have to be wanting this book on this list. So it will be shortlisted. And it was. So this is giving me similar vibes. And finally, the 6th book that I think might get shortlisted by the jury is Glory by NoViolet Bulawayo. I think this has a very kind of big scope political theme that I don't think is really represented in other books. So I think this is a kind of a different voice and a different kind of perspective that might kind of round up this list. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I definitely hope the Wandering Souls in Memphis, but as you can tell, I didn't put them on the list that I think the jury is gonna pick. But you know, we can always hope. Hopefully I'm wrong about my predictions of the jury. But yeah, this was fun to try to make the 2 lists, but it was really, really difficult. Anyway, what did you think about the long list? Have you been reading along? What did you think of the book? Did you make a shortlist predictions? What did you think the one book that is going to be on this prediction? I guess we can all hope, we can all predict, but we shall see next week. As always, thank you so much for watching and hey, see you back. Bye!